Efe Ajagba versus Joseph Goodall. 10 rounds in the heavyweight division. Should be a very interesting matchup. Both men are coming in with a lot of momentum on their side. Let's get into it. Let's start with Efe Ajagba. 18 wins, 1 loss, 13 wins by way of knockout. These two men have something in common, or rather someone in common. Both of these men fought Stephen Shaw. Both men fought Shaw. Both won their fight with him in different ways. Ajagba fought Shaw when he was undefeated. I mean, very confident, lot of upside, lot of potential, still has that potential, but the hungry Shaw, right? You don't know how you're going to respond from a loss until you lose. And at that point, Shaw did not lose a fight before. He didn't know what that felt like. He was confident. And it was a fight that I felt like he should have been able to outbox Efe Ajagba, but that wasn't the case. Ajagba is a big puncher, and we know that when the man connects with a shot, it could be curtains for his opponent. One shot could take you out and really close out the show. But when that fight started, it was Ajagba's jab that was the defining factor. It was his jab that was his best attack that night. He landed a whole bunch of jabs, I think over 100 jabs. And that is a testament of the improvement of Efe Ajagba, because before he started developing these new skill set, he was just throwing that right hand, using brute physicality to try to impose his will, his size, his frame, and that power on his opponents. But the jab this night controlled the fight. He fought a safe fight, a controlled fight. There's nothing wrong with that. A win is a win, but a lot of people thought it was a disappointing performance from Efe Ajagba, even though I don't remember what the odds were, but I don't think he was the favorite in that fight. But he wins that fight, moves on to fighting Zhan Kasabutski, who was supposed to fight Jared Anderson. But here is Efe Ajagba's opportunity to showcase a better fight than it did the last fight. An interesting fight, to say the least, with Kasabutski. Ajagba was using his jab, just putting that thing through. With his reach, he's able to keep the distance and really set up that right hand if he needs to. He was using the jab, using his feet, moving around the ring. In the first round, man, there wasn't a whole lot of action. Kasabutski, I would say, landed the more eye-catching shots, but for the most part, Ajagba controlled the range of that fight. In the second round, things got a little bit more interesting. Kasabutski thought one of the shots that Ajagba shot through, the jab, was a little bit too low. Then it happened again. Then you started to see Kasabutski's attitude seem to change. Mannerisms was all over the place. You could see the frustration. He was getting very, very agitated. Toward the end of the second round, Ajagba caught him with the right hand that backed him up on the ropes. But again, not a whole lot of action happening in that round as well. Third round came. Kasabutski landed a low shot on Ajagba, pushed him when the ref tried to break him up, and he got warned for the third time and deducted a point. At that point, man, Kasabutski, you could tell his mannerisms, man. He was just kind of over that fight, man. He was already, sometimes in life, you can get so angry that you just don't care anymore, right? And when you get to that point where you just don't care, that is when you start to unravel. That is when mistakes start to happen a lot more. And that is when life hits you the most from different angles. In this case, Kasabutski, he was so annoyed with so much anger and frustration that when he saw an opportunity to return fire, what he thought Ajagba was getting the advantage of doing and not getting the same treatment, he took it, another low blow. Ajagba dropped to the floor and he got DQ'd. And it looked like he didn't even care. Like, he looked like he knew when the opportunity presented itself, that is what I was going to do. But prior to that point, before they got tied up, Ajagba finally did what we've been waiting for him to do, and that's let the hands go when he is in range. And we saw what happened. DQ happened. Ajagba won the fight. Not a fight how we expected him to win it. not a fight how we expected it to go. And nonetheless, a win is a win. Ajagba has improved a lot since he started, man. You know, he's trying to set up his shots a little bit better, developing more of an inside game, right? His jab is solid, but he's still a little robotic and predictable to me. And if he isn't able to switch up the way how he comes in and finds more creative ways that work to his strengths, man, it's going to catch up to him at some point. And he's got to let his hands go a lot more, man. He can't wait for the perfect shot. He is that strong. He is that big. And he does have that type of physicality where if he just lets his hands go quicker, those shots are going to add up and break down his opponents. He's a big dude, man. And sometimes he fights like the smaller fighter and doesn't use that physicality to his advantage. But so far, he's been improving, and this is another great opportunity for him to come in and make a statement, but he has to be careful because Goodall, man, he could come into this one and steal this fight. Let's talk about him. Let's talk about the Australian Joseph Goodall. 10 wins, 1 loss, and 9 wins by way of knockout. Goodall is also another guy who's been improving over the years since his loss to Justice Hooney, which we'll get into shortly, man. But as I mentioned earlier, he fought Stephen Shaw as well. Goodall is looking to find your timing. He's looking to stay close to you and bring that pressure, right? He wants all the fire. He wants all the type of wars that you got. He's a very good inside fighter. He goes to the head, goes to the body, doesn't neglect any part of the openings. And when he is in close, man, this is a guy who's not afraid to let his hands go. Like, he is going to be there to get hit. He's not the greatest defensive fighter, but sometimes his offense is that defense when he's smothering you and using his size to his advantage and really working the body, working the head, and hitting the shoulders, hitting the forearms, and really just trying to break you down round to round. In his fight with Shaw, man, Shaw was boxing very well in the early beginning of that fight, man. He was kind of taking what was given to him, really wasn't pushing the pace, was just taking what was there, kind of playing it safe, right? Whereas Goodall was constantly throwing shots, looking to find a way how to let his hands go. And sometimes he overcommits, and that's when Shaw would make him pay for it. Shaw is still skillful, man. He still got good hand speed. He still got quick movements, and he took advantage of those opportunities when they did come. But Goodall was making it tough and rough. He made it tricky for Shaw because he wasn't just being a guy who was predictable, who was just headhunting. Nah, man, he was mixing how he was punching, where he was punching very well, right? Whether it was on the outside, looping shots, uppercuts, straight hand down the middle, he was finding ways how to be creative with what he was putting forth. In the 5th round, there were moments when Shaw was letting his hands go and he was connecting on some big shots consistently, but you could see that he didn't have the same amount of steam on them as it did in the beginning. And quite frankly, man, he looked very tired going into the 6th round. There were times though where Goodall's legs were a little bit shaky from the shots, but he just kept coming forward, kept throwing, and found his way out of trouble and turned the momentum. For a moment, Shaw decided that he was going to stand in the pocket and fight, but he wasn't throwing anything, right? Whereas Goodall was always looking to throw, and he caught Shaw with a 3-piece combination that dropped him. The whole fight changed after that. Shaw got back up, you know, him being the fighter and the man that he is, right? He's got that heart about him. He's going to get up and he's going to try to fight, but then he got dropped again. The second time he got dropped, man, he just looked dejected and again looked very, very tired. He was sucking for wind, breathing heavily. He faded. To me, Shaw fought a little lackadaisical and Goodall just simply wanted it more and he got it done. Big upset win and huge confident booster for Joseph Goodall. When he fought Justice Hooney, man, stylistically, it was a tough fight for him because Hooney is quicker, he's accurate, moves well, and always has a answer, a return fire, so to speak. Goodall has some good moments where he connected with uppercuts, looping shots, but one thing about Goodall, man, is there's no quitting this guy, right? You have to take him out, otherwise he is going to continue to come forward and let his hands fly. However, Hooney was in complete control of the fight, man. I think if he was a bigger puncher, he might have been able to get the stoppage win against Goodall. He was clipping Goodall with massive counters. But Goodall, to his credit, man, tough and durable cat, man. He knows how to use his size and his physicality to his advantage, man. It's one of his strengths. He does use his body to the fullest. And I think that's exactly what he's going to try to do in this fight. Use his physicality, use his strength, and try to gain the advantage on the inside, close the gap, and let his hands go and work in the body as quickly as he can. And if he gets into his groove early, he's going to be tough to beat, man, because he is a better inside fighter than Ajagba to me. When he fought Justice Huni, man, Huni was just a step ahead on that night, right? But he did do some good work and connected some good shots of his own and had a great opportunity to win that fight. But that night wasn't his night. So this is a great opportunity for Joseph Goodall to make a jump. And I think for Ajagba, man, he needs to make a statement, right? He needs to look good here. So who wins? I think both men improved over the years. Both men are still raw in some forms, but both men throw big punches and are good in their own skill set. Defensively, I think they are both on that same playing field. They both are there to get hit. Huni countered Goodall very well that fight, slipped a bunch of shots in and turned the angles and the pressure on him often in that fight. But Ajagba does not move the same way that Huni does. So that's going to be a nice plus for Joseph Goodall. Shaw countered him well also. Goodall, he has to make this a close fight, man, and close the gap early and just bring that consistent pressure early and make Ajagba uncomfortable. One thing about Goodall, man, is he's going to make you fight. Even if you don't want to, you got to get ready too, because he's going to throw. Ajagba's jab has been exceptional in the recent fight. I think he's starting to get real comfortable with it. He knows how to keep you at distance, right? And follow through with that right hand. He's still learning, to me, how to use it all to his full extent, right? All the ways how you can come in with the jab and set everything up. But I think he needs in this fight, man, to let his hands go a lot more. He's going to have to fight in times. Goodall is going to make him fight. And because he's going to have to fight, I think he's a bigger puncher than Goodall. I think Goodall is going to get clipped with an exchange that's going to make him hit the canvas, because Shaw had opportunities when he landed shots, and I wasn't so sold that if Shaw was a bigger puncher and really let his hands go a lot more, that Goodall would have been there to win that fight and to stay on his feet. I think Ajagba has the confidence, the belief, and the power and the skill to win this fight by a way of knockout or stoppage, man. I think it's going to be a very good fight. I think both men have to be careful, but I think Goodall's risks he's going to take in this fight, man, I think it's not going to work out in his favor. What are your thoughts on this fight? Who do you have winning this one? Let me know in the comment section below. If you'd like to support the channel, there's a couple ways you can do so. You can like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to support by way of donation, you can find options in the description below. Also, my Cash App handle will be on screen as well. Any amount goes towards the growth of this channel. Shout out to each of you that continue to like, comment, share, and subscribe to the channel. I appreciate each of you. So with all that being said, if you've been enjoying the video, do me a favor and subscribe to the channel, and we'll definitely see you next time.